Hi, I am Verdania, your teacher and guide in this series of Living on Earth. In this occasion, I would like to expand a little bit about the anatomy of Earth in relationship to the chakras, and to see that from a point of view where you will have the totality of the anatomy, the generality of it, so you can understand better in the following classes the terms that we will be using. So we'll start by seeing Earth as a living organism, and who has all the same exact organs that we do, since we are part of her and we are a reflection of her consciousness. The human race is a mirror or a part of Earth that is the consciousness of Earth, with all the emotions and all the fluctuations and the evolution that we are able to hold in our living DNA. So if we take the Earth as the organism, the whole sphere of Earth, and we see that in the surface there is a very concrete form, as is in our body. We see the individualization of our form, and you are able to see this is me, and this is you, and this is a chair, and this is a table. It's the very concrete aspect that you see. You don't see my heart, my stomach, my liver, you don't see that, but you see the concreteness. And the concreteness is formed by you and Earth belief systems. So all the mountains, all the rivers, all the flow that we see on Earth is formed by her belief systems that have attracted certain seeds, galactic seeds, to form what she is now, what she looks like, and with all these species, including us. And that part of the concreteness, we can see it that is divided in three, actually in four. First is the physical aspect, what we see. The second is the relationships that those physical forms have among themselves. We have seen that the trees relate to the fungi, and the fungi cannot relate to Earth and the evolution and so on, that everything in nature is interconnected, and in that relationship form a magnetic aspect of the form that is make it possible through feedback to be able to distinguish the actual concreteness of the form. So without the feedback between the different forms, we are not able to evolve. It's a very part of Earth where she interacts with different parts. The trees interact with the rivers with the ocean with the rain, and so on and so forth. The second aspect is the emotional body of Earth, which is very much related to the weather, the movement of flow of the winds in the planet, and how the weather is created. So all that part, that fluctuation, is the emotional aspect of the Earth. And of course it affects our emotional body when there is no sun, for example. We feel very different than when it's sunny. And of course in that relationship with the weather and the emotions is the relationship to the moon. So the Earth and the moon is one unit. It's not two separate things. It's one that stabilizes the emotions and the waters, the flows of things, the cycles. And then is the mental aspect of the earth, which is the human race. Our own desires, our own thriving towards evolution, either through challenges or through consciousness. We create an electrical field around the planet that represents and directs Earth, and is the way that is manifested. So our belief systems are very much in relationship with the Earth way of thinking, how Earth think about herself. And that is still is all concrete. We can see how our own humanity struggle with power and with victories, and with now wanting to be more self-sufficient as a human. Earth is wishing that as well. So we are very much in connection with the concrete aspect of it. And we can see it. We can put a few examples, but it's very tangible in all our education systems, in our political systems, in all the health issues that we're having. Everything is very concrete, very tangible, and is happening in the surface of the planet. Now, as we go energetically deeper into the earth, we are finding more and different energetic fields that makes the anatomy of earth from the spiritual aspect. Yes, if you dig very deep, you will find granites and mines and inner rivers and so on and so forth. So I'm not referring to that concreteness of it, which is related, but is more in the subtle aspects of the earth anatomy, where deeper between the surface and the core of the earth, there is a series, actually 4 different layers that determined the memories of earth and the archives of earth. All that she have lived in the now, what everything is happening in the now, and all the trajectory that she have done through a space, as she moved through a space, and all the different civilizations and stages and epochs of the earth, they are all within that bands of energy in the what we call the soul bodies of the earth. So in the soul bodies of the earth, the first thing that you encounter is a tremendous fire. It's a pressure that is causing rivers of fire, meaning rivers of transmutation. So what it means that is that in the transmutation, Earth wish to purify herself by taking more responsibility for what she is and what she's going through. So she started realizing that, oh, I do have a role in the planetary and solar system and in the galaxy. I do have a role and I do have a persona. I'm not anymore in the quarantine where I am discharged or I am not being seen. Now I am being seen, and I need to present myself with what I have, with what I have lived, and to acknowledge that this is me, and that will be the source of her happiness and her source of empowerment. So in the transmutation, we can have an associated example in our life when we decide to see that we are not a victim of the external, that we do have all the choices, and that our belief system have created our reality. So, but of course we understand it over here, but we have not understand it in the form quite yet. We have not put that in motion and in complete lucidity, where you are totally aware of your power and you self-directed life. But that is the first layer of earth, and that is related to all the rivers of fire through the planet, is related to the volcanoes and to all the veins of fire that is around the planet. So that creates a lot of purification to the earth and a complete renovation of the way we think, or the way she thinks of herself. And of course, in some areas are much more powerful than in others, and we will talk more about that later. But what I would like you for now is to imagine that, okay, I do have the surface of the earth, and that have a field, and then as we go into the soul bodies of the earth, we have encounter other rings of awareness and perception. Deeper into the earth, after the ring of transmutation, there is a memory. Is old, very the existence of crystals, very deep in the earth. The crystals serve as recording devices within the earth of everything that she have going through. All what the form, the surface have lived through is recorded in there. So it's a huge memory archived that is beyond time. It means it's not linked to the, okay, first past this, and then this have occurred this, and then this. No, there is no linear time. It's all the memory that is available at any time, that is happening at the same time as is being recorded. So with that, Earth records every soul that have passed through Earth, every species, every civilization, every traveling the space of Earth, all is recorded in there, and you can access it, of course. And there are, in that realm, there are keepers, and those keepers are all the living crystals. As we know, there are entities that have different tones of recording certain things and enhance certain attributes of the earth. And below that ring of memory, there is a ring where beings that have lived in the surface or that have born inside the earth lived. So including the elementals, including beings that, for example, some of the reptilians that lived here on the surface of the planet billions of years ago. So is the giants, and so some of the other beings that have adapted to a much more stable part of Earth. They all live in there, and they serve Earth as guides. They serve Earth as masters of civilizations within the Earth, that sustain the surface, that it gives wisdom to the surface. It's like their emanation, their transmission sustain the wisdom of the surface, or give wisdom to the surface. And some they are, I mean, they're not the utopia where all they are good, and there are civilizations, there are races with their struggles and evolution, and they do have an awareness towards humanity, towards the species that is controlling now or is in the surface, that is us. But they do have a profound role in the wisdom that emanates from Earth. And most of them, they serve as guides. They serve as take care of Earth. We depend on it. And there are so many species, from the little conception of the seeds that we see in the surface, species that go away, species that come back to the surface. They all is a feedback between the surface and this part of the body of the Earth that is profoundly constructive and creative. And then a little bit deeper towards the core of the Earth, there is a very important aspect of Earth, which is her desire to liberate herself. It's her desire to stop thinking that she's not enough, and that she is identity that holds the alchemy. Because Earth herself in the cosmic tapestry, what she is and what she represents is, with her incredible diversity of species, is alchemy. She is the alchemist of our quadrant and in the galactic composition. So with where everything it happens, with everything is being example, there are many examples of what is happening in the whole entire quadrant that we exist in our universe on Earth. So it's a mini play out of different races, of different belief systems, of different levels of consciousness. Everything is happening on Earth because she is the alchemist. That's what she does. And with that power of the alchemy, she is able to give anyone that touch that truth the power of no identification. It gives the power to any race, any play out of alchemy, to see that, oh, I am in a game, I am in the form, and I am able to separate myself from myself. I am able to see that truth within me, and I can see that that is a universal truth. So when these two truths, when the truth touch the truth, then the emptiness start to appear, and that will be the more deeper aspect of the Earth, or the spirit aspect of the Earth, where the form disappears. And then you start dealing with more the spirit values of Earth, which the first one is the frequency of freedom, the realization that I am not bound to form, I am not defined by the form of Earth, and I am not either the cycles, and I am not either the matrix of the mind of Earth. I am beyond that, and that gives a great sense of liberation and freedom, the inner freedom, which comes with other alignments for you, where you really start serving Earth, and Earth starts serving you from the freedom point of view. You are really truly synchronizing your essence, the very core of your heart, with the freedom of Earth. And deeper in the core of Earth, then in the same emptiness, in the same sense of the presence of Earth, in that silence, in that emptiness, there is another vibrational force which is related to the truth. And here the truth have different layers, where it is the universal truth, where everything is every perception is part of a sphere that holds different perceptions, and all is valid and truth. And there is no one point of view that is not part of this tremendous sphere of truth, as well as anything that you see. If you vibrate with Earth in that level, you see the truth behind anything. You see the truth behind the form. You see the truth behind the person that you are relating. You see beyond the form, and that truth applies also to you human race, you biology, as well as the Earth biology, the anatomy, for example. And it becomes even more and more subtle as in the very core, related to the fire within the Earth. Is not really fire, is light, is the representation of the inner sun, or the soul of the spirit, the essence of Earth, and that is light. And in that light, it's like a sun. It's a sun inside the Earth that leads you to a space. It's a gate back to another dimension, where Earth and you have the availability to have the freedom to travel, through any form you wish to incarnate or not. And you see the truth of all what is happening in a larger scale. So in that regards, the essence of the Earth is very much in relationship to the sun. Is the internal sun of the Earth is in alignment with the internal sun of our solar system. And with that entanglement between the two polarities, the Earth, the inner and the outer, is what it makes possible the order. It makes possible the rotation around itself, to create that elliptical and a spiral force that make the whole entire solar system to move around our sun. So you can see the spectrums of the anatomy of the Earth, and they are very much in relationship to our own inner journey. Our physical body have the same exact structure. Our cells have the same exact structure. You see a cell and you see the form, but the more you go in, it becomes more subtle, more undefined, more complex, and at the same time more simple. You are able to see very profoundly that existence do not exist in the form, and in that awareness, in that relationship that you may have with that kind of anatomy, your body start having a complete different relationship between the cells, and ultimately between your DNA, where you are not anymore bound to the polarity of two strands of DNA, but you can have more strengths. You can have 3, 4, 6, depending of the form you vibrate, and depends of how much you are traveling within that anatomy. So it's important to understand that the anatomy of Earth is not isolated from us, and that our physical form, our internal world, resonate very much with that anatomy of the Earth. There is no difference. So in terms of chakra system, marma systems, and any other energetic aspect, the first thing we need to understand is the 3 structures of the Earth. So just to recap, it will be the surface, and in the surface we have 4 layers: the form, the concrete, the interactions or the relationships, the emotions, and the mind. And in the soul aspect of the Earth, we have the transmutation aspect, we have the memory aspect, we have the races of the multiple intraterrestrial races, and we have the portal to spirit. And in the spirit, we have the spirit of Earth very much in the center. We have the vibration of the freedom, we have the vibration of truth, we have the vibration of light, and we also have the vibration of the fusion with all these parts together in relationship to the cosmic dance. So with that first understanding, we can also relate to our inner world, who has exactly the same anatomy. There is no difference. Our cells and where those cells are located are representing cells or parts of that Earth anatomy, and whatever happens in the Earth anatomy is happening to those cells within ourselves. So in a way, we don't have much control of our Earth bodies or what we have here on Earth, because we are at the mercy of what she goes through. And how she controls that is through the elements, through the 5 elements. So we see it all the time when, let's say, in seasons when the wind is strong and so on, our mind become restless, and we become with more anxiety, with more restlessness as well. So we're very, very linked to Earth through the elements, and when she decides to change the elements, we change. But if we have the knowledge of how these elements are playing out in a larger scale, we're able to help the stabilization of Earth by using knowledge to stabilize our own bodies. And at the same time, we are aware that it's not our mission to balance the elements. They will disappear and they will decay and will die, but is something deeper within ourselves and within Earth that connect us to eternity.